el derecho de vivir. Poeta Ho Chi Minh, que golpea de Vietnam a toda la humanidad. Ningún cañón borrará el surco de tu arrozal, el derecho de vivir en paz.
Thank you. I am honored to be here today. I'm not sure why I am the guy up here speaking for labor, but I'm honored to be here. When the war ended, I happened to be in the best place you could be. I was in Havana, Cuba, the day that the Vietnamese triumphed. And I can tell you, I still have to go to a party that was better than that. The entire island erupted in joy. And to this day, I live with that memory. Look, I was a working class kid in the Bronx. The war started. I graduated high school. I walked down to the Armory in the Bronx, and I joined the National Guard. The reason being that they said we're better off if we go that way than get drafted. It set me on a journey of, I was 17 years old. It set me on a journey of understanding what I wasn't and what I could become. I owe a lot to the struggle of the Vietnamese, because it was during the course of that struggle that I learned about racism, I learned about imperialism, and I discovered Marxism. It was in those teach-ins all over the city where we studied the war and we studied its impact on real life that shaped my future and led me to the labor movement. I'm going to be very brief today. This discussion about labor, the unions, international trade, international cooperation, collaboration with colleagues in the trade union movements in Vietnam is going to take decades. The Vietnamese are in the middle of a moment where they are rewriting their labor laws, reconsidering the impacts of international trade on their own workers, and there are some astounding, enormous problems. 68% of the workforce in Vietnam is in what we would call in this country in gig workforce, informal employment. 68%. As we understand unions in this country, our traditional structures are almost incapable of addressing that. I came in the movement in 1968, in the labor movement, at the end of '68. And I can tell you, my career is a study in downward mobility. As the labor unions have increasingly lost power, lost market share, lost density. Why? Some of it is self-inflicted wounds. We decided at the end of the World War II to align ourselves with US capitalism, and we have ridden them to oblivion. At this juncture, capitalism has reinvented itself several times since the end of World War II. At least twice they have reinvented themselves since the end of the Vietnam struggle. Global trade is about to be redone. Anybody who got up here today and tells you what is going to happen in 6 months probably doesn't know what they're talking about. But here's what I do know. There are elements of the American trade union movement that are going to have to face reality, that we cannot do this alone. We need to cooperate with others. Vietnam is the 7th largest trading partner of the United States. For our union movement and their union movement not to be engaged in dialogue is almost suicidal. I have, and some of you have studied with me, others have struggled with me. I have never romanticized the trade union movement of the United States. Part of it is a den of vipers. Part of it is a glorious commitment to struggle. Right now, we are weak. We have so much that we can share with our Vietnamese colleagues, and we have so much to learn from our Vietnamese colleagues. They're actually, oddly, at an interesting moment that we can learn from. They are rewriting their labor laws, their labor standards, their structure of society, of working class people, so that they can modernize and engage world capitalism as it really is. Our movement has yet to pass through this fantasy that somehow we benefit from US domination. We will not survive if we don't grow. So today, in honor of the 50th anniversary, I'm retired, but I'm coming back in. I am going to commit to try to pull together a modest group of labor folks, labor academics, community folks who struggle with labor questions mightily. And 90% of the working class movement in this country is outside the unions. They're in community-based organizations, they're in immigration organizations, they're in church organizations. Try to pull together a group that can begin to open a dialogue with our colleagues from Vietnam and see if there's things that we can learn together. With that, I'm going to sit down and I want to listen because I want to hear the ambassador too.